Hey, what's up guys, it's Liam or Weagle on your Overwatch, back with a new video. Today we have some exclusive Moira gameplay that we were allowed to capture at BlizzCon. There's a lot I want to go through. It's going to be similar to the other video we did, but a lot more in depth because we've played the hero a lot now. So just a couple of disclaimers. The first one is that some of the gameplay will be when we first picked her up, so it won't be as good as some of the other gameplay. We were testing out the abilities, trying to get used to them, and really trying to figure out where they sit in Overwatch as it is currently played. So I want to go through each thing individually and talk about some of the misconceptions I'm hearing, because it feels to me almost a little bit like when Sombra came out last BlizzCon, where a lot of people were looking at her and thinking, oh, she's super OP, but then when she was released, she wasn't. Now, I don't know exactly where that sits on the scales, but I don't think that Moira is in any way OP. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually her main healing ability, because one thing you'll notice when you pick this character up straight away is that it's very hard to manage this. Now, there is, of course, better ways to manage it than what I do in some of this gameplay, where I'm like using it as like a constant heal, because if you play like Mercy or Lucio or any of the other healers, really, there's not a lot of downtime from healing. You can pretty much just keep healing forever. But with Moira, when that healing bar is gone, you'll see it in the middle on the right hand side, you can't really heal at all, and it comes back very slowly. So what this means is that she needs to be in the fight, because if she's not in the fight and maybe you're playing on defense and she's at the back healing your tanks and stuff, well, when she runs out of her healing, she gets it so slowly. It's not like Mercy where she can just hold it on someone. You have to get back into the fight in order to deal damage with your other hand attack so that you can get that charge back much quicker. But then when you do that, of course, you're really vulnerable. So the outplay of Moira is really all in her positioning and her decision making. Mechanically, she's actually one of the easiest heroes in the game, but I think that when people pick her up, they're going to struggle applying her in any context, I think, in the game. In terms of actually how to use this healing as well, you do have to manage it very carefully, and you have to be picking her in a comp where she can recharge it. But also, when you use the healing, you need to be hitting multiple teammates, because if you do not, it's not enough hitting. It's almost like Lucio's aura, in the way that if you've only got one guy in it, you're not really doing enough. You know, if you amp it up for one person, it's very rarely a good play, and I think Moira is going to be the same. Whereas if you're just holding down healing on one guy, it's not worth it. You need your whole team. Also, the healing beam is not a lock-on like the damage beam is. You do have to aim it, and then of course it's almost like projectile, so if you like move it across too quickly, it will take like a second to get there. So there's a little bit of aiming with that there. I mean, it's not difficult. It's very similar to Mei's spread. Maybe it's got a little bit more range on it than Mei's has, but you need to be doing it to multiple teammates, or else it's not worth it, and you have to be managing it, and you have to make sure that you can also do damage so that you can recharge it. Now, other abilities come into play, of course, like the dodge that we'll get on into in a second, which is a really cool ability, and I actually struggled using it, like getting used to it in my mind, that this is a support with like a massive evasive ability. So you will notice when you pick this hero up straight away that the primary healing is very hard to manage. The last thing I want to mention about these kind of primary fires is that her damage, the one that locks on, is super weak. I would say like half of a sim beam, if that. It's like 3.5 seconds to kill somebody, and it is a soft lock. It's not a hard lock like sim, where it will always just be dragging onto them. Now, if we move on to the orbs now, these are really cool and probably the best part of her kit, to be perfectly honest with you. But there's a couple of interesting things to talk about. So we'll talk about the damage one first. A lot of the footage people have seen is the thing on the website where it shows the damage orb killing people. Now, these damage orbs do have a maximum amount of damage. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's 200 or 300. If there's been interviews with Jeff Goodman, maybe you would know the number and you can let us know in the comments. But this orb doesn't do as much damage as it looks like it does in clips you may have seen. It is good, But because of the unreliability of Moira keeping her primary healing, you actually want this orb to be healing most of the time. Of course, if the enemies are trying to disengage in a corridor, you can throw the damage orb in, right, and do tons of damage. But the damage orb does not charge Moira's primary healing like her other damage does. And I think maybe they will do that in the future, or they have tried it before, because it makes so much sense. If she could do damage with this orb from a distance, then she can sustain a lot easier. That also might make her OP, right? Because then she doesn't have to be in the fight to recharge, so she can heal from the back forever. There's a lot of weird interplay there with how that could work. But this thing is going to be used for healing most of the time. I would almost guarantee it. You can heal yourself with it, so being able to self-heal as a healer to keep yourself alive is amazing, and the risk of throwing the damage one isn't as good. So what you want to be doing is keeping yourself alive and healing your team in their moments where you don't have your primary healing. And also, if your team are moving forward, you of course throw the orb with them. It stays with them. In our interview with Jeff Kaplan, which will be up tomorrow, he does say that you can throw it in with a Genji and keep him alive the whole time. It's a seriously amazing ability, and the healing one will be used all the time, and it is not as OP as it has been made to look, again, back to that Sombra reference. Moving on, we'll now talk about this Fade ability, similar to Reaper's Wraith form, which is one of the most interesting support abilities in my opinion. Now, you cannot do it vertically, but what you can do is use it to completely juke someone out. So on your screen, you travel the distance that you use it, but on the enemy screen, when you use it, you completely disappear, and you can do this in any direction, and you can change your direction when you do it. So if you wanted to, you could like blink forwards and do a 180, and you would instantly be behind an enemy trying to zap them in the back, maybe to finish them off because you were weak, which is really cool. It's really good at being evasive, so if you want to get in and do some damage to charge your primary healing, well then you can do that, and if it gets a little bit scary, you can turn around and blink out and get around a corner, and it's really fast. The only thing that's going to keep up with you is like a Tracer, or maybe a Winston that's got his jump on handy. It's going to be really difficult to actually chase down a Moira that has this on cooldown, and also it's every 6 seconds, so multiple times in a team fight, and always available. And it's the one thing that you'll see in this gameplay that I didn't use a lot because I really struggled to just get used to it, really. But it's one of the coolest support abilities, actually, and you want to get away from people with it. You know, you can also get back into the fight a bit quicker, which is really cool, but evasiveness is just awesome. You know, she's not really going to be dueling things. She's going to be running away from them a lot of the time because her damage just isn't good enough. But she does have that great ability to be able to get away and get into with her team where her team can defend her, and she can also, of course, heal herself with that really cool orb that she has. The final thing I want to talk about is, of course, the ultimate. Now, this again has been made to look OP in some contexts, but I can guarantee you it actually isn't. Also, we've had some weird interactions where it isn't going through barriers, which it is supposed to do, by the way. So if you see any clips of that, I think it's a bug. I'm sure that'll be fixed on the PTR. So this is a really interesting ultimate. So it does about the same damage as Zarya at full charge, which we've made the comparison of before, and I would say that that's fairly accurate. And it also heals the team and should go through barriers, go through defense matrix and everything. So the applicability of this actually is you need to be hitting your team and you need to be hitting the enemy team when you do it. So again, upon initiation, almost like when you would throw the orb, or maybe you would also throw a healing orb and you would use this ult. So you'd be healing through your team running forward and the enemies on the other side. Because if you do one or the other, it actually feels really underwhelming. It doesn't do a ton of damage. People can easily run away from it. You can be stunned out of it as well, to my knowledge. And also, the healing isn't incredible. So you need to be able to be hitting everything to get that full potential out of it. Now, you won't see any of that, of course, on screen because it's just a crazy quick play environment. But it's an interesting ult that has to be used correctly. I mean, I guess a lot of ults are like that in the game. But if you just use it to heal, you're probably not getting the value. If you use it to damage, you probably should just be healing your team and let them do damage and use your ult at a more opportune time. It's not super crazy OP. You can look at some of these clips and niche situations online that you would have seen over the last couple of days, And yes, the orb looks OP, her right click looks OP, her healing looks OP, but when you actually play it, it isn't OP. I don't think she's as bad as Sombra when Sombra came out, but I don't think she's as good as or sharp as Doomfist was when he came out either. Her skill ceiling in terms of mechanics is pretty low actually, but her applicability, when do I pick her on what map? She is not an every map hero. She just isn't. I don't see that happening at all. Now, matchmaking is a whole new context, right? So pro play matchmaking, it makes a big difference, but very good, very fun, grew on me a lot when playing her actually, and I'm looking forward to playing her more when she comes out, hopefully on the PTR within the next few days. We don't have any confirmation of an exact date, but Jeff said soon TM, so hopefully that's in the next few days or so. So guys, let us know what you think. We'll be traveling back to the UK soon, and FREEDO will be going home. We have other things planned. We have the Jeff interview, we have some other videos up. We can't wait to get them out to you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, as it really does help us out, and it lets us know that you're enjoying the content. Be sure to leave a comment on what you think to Moira, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get notified when our videos go live. Be sure to have a great day. As always, take care and peace, people.